Hello Cambly learners, my name is Mike and I'm a tutor here at Cambly. Today's video is a sequel to another video that we did that is Essential English Idioms. So an idiom is an expression or that contains a figure of speech. So there's a non-literal meaning, right, attached to the phrase. So what does this basically mean? Well, it's when you say something but you literally don't mean that, you mean something else. So the first idiom that we're going to see is go out on a limb. What does this mean, right? In a tree, which is where this expression comes from, you have a trees, right? And the main trunk, this is the base, right? The strongest part of the tree. But if you're climbing that tree and you move to one of the branches can crack and fall, right? And you can fall. It's more dangerous. So this term was used in the 19th century, and where people were climbing trees and they would say, I'm going out on a limb, that means they go on a place that is less secure, right? And so these are how idioms work. Usually they're stories. Usually it is something that was used a long time ago, and you keep on using it, and you give another connotation, another way of viewing that same situation. She's prepared to go out on a limb and she's going to move to another country. This is our sentence. So maybe the chunk, the safe zone would be stay in her same country, right? Where maybe her family is, her friends are. But if she gets out on the limb and she goes into some place that is not as secure, a new place, then she is doing something that might be dangerous or not in her safety net. So now that we understand how idioms work, you will see then that they don't have the literal meaning, right? It comes from something else. And it has come from different stories, and the meaning, even though it remains more or less the same, you can use it in different contexts that are completely independent, but still the words are going to make sense. Now, you don't need to know their origins. I mean, most of the native speakers don't even know where the phrases originally come from, but they do know what they mean because they've been surrounded by them all of their life, right? So let's see another example. Get up on the wrong side of bed. What does this mean? It doesn't mean that literally you just wake up and you're in the wrong side of the bed. No, what it means is to be in a bad mood, right? When somebody is in a bad mood, you would usually say, oh, he woke up on the wrong side of bed, right? Let's see another interesting case of idioms. For example, tongue-tied. What does this mean? Well, there's actually a scientific term for this, which is ankylosing. It's usually when a baby at birth, he doesn't develop his tongue well. And what happens is the range of motion is not normal. Now, maybe he can talk and he won't have problems. People will understand, but his articulations will be somehow off, right? But in the idiom, the normal usage, what does that mean? Well, this is what it means. When somebody is tongue-tied, that means that he is shy or he's too self-conscious about the situation that it is very hard for him to express and to give meaning to what he wants to say, right? An example sentence of this is, he got tongue-tied in the middle of the presentation and the silence was very uncomfortable. So now that we're with the tongue idioms, let me give you another one. Tip of the tongue. What does this mean, right? So this happens when, for example, you're failing to retrieve a word or a term that you have in your memory. You know it. You know you have it there. You can partially remember it, but it's not coming out of you. And an example sentence of this would be, hey, do you know her name? Oh, wait, I do. No. Oh, I have her name on the tip of the tongue. That's when you would use that expression. Another idiom is, for example, turn the house upside down. And basically what this is put in disorder or mix or mess up, right? Sometimes you would use this phrase, or most of the time, for when you want to explain that you've been looking for something and you just can't find it, right? So you have put everything out of order in order to find this, right? So turn the house upside down. An example sentence of this would be, he turned the whole house upside down looking for his checkbook. So another idiom is in over your head. What does this mean, right? So it is to become deeply involved in a situation which might be too difficult to deal with, right? So you're in a situation, it is very hard, so you are in over your head, right? And a sentence for this can be, he realized that he was in over his head and that only his family could help him. The last expression that we're going to see is on the back burner. What does this mean, right? So on the back burner is, for example, when you're cooking, you have your stove here and you have here where you grill, that's a burner, right? And you use it to cook something. So when you put it on the back burner, usually the frontal row is the things that are more important and you're cooking with. And then you put the things on the back that you don't really need or are not as important. It can be when you put some activity or somebody into a place where it's not so important anymore. It goes, and everything that's on the front part, that's important. So you put them on the back burner. So the company put that project on the back burner, right? It is not as important. It is not a priority anymore. For those who are unfamiliar with Cambly, Cambly gives you instant access to friendly native speakers just like me. You can take your class anytime, anywhere. You can just do it through your cell phone or your computer, whatever you like the best. Schedule your next lesson with me on the link below. Thank you so much for watching. Take care. Bye.